All right, so we have a question here. Hope we're able to see the words. Okay. The following balances have been extracted from a manufacturing company as at 31st December 2008. All right, we've got carriage inwards on raw materials. Colleagues, from our knowledge from trading accounts, what is carriage inwards? When you hear the word carriage inwards, what is it? When it's quiet like this, I even check if I've been kicked out. Mr. Casono, you were there when we were doing the trading account last time. You were there. Frank's Baker. Yes, Mr. Boniface. Okay. Yes, Mr. Bon. Uh-huh. I've removed it. I've removed it. That's why you can't see it. I've removed it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. That is carriage inwards. Right. Here we've got direct expenses. Whenever you hear the word direct, it's related to the production of the good. Okay. When you just hear the word, if it has a direct in it, it's in relation with the production of the good. Okay. So these direct expenses are any expenses that are in connection with production of the goods. You've got direct wages, factory administration, factory heat and light, power, rent and rates, supervisory costs, purchase of raw materials, our beginning raw materials, okay, opening stock of raw materials, we have our beginning work in progress, we have our sales, and we have our finished goods. And we also have insurance and rent. And you've got additional information here. The stock of materials as at 31st December 2008 was valued at 6 million. So this is your closing stock for raw materials. Okay, raw materials have got opening stock and I've also got closing stock. Okay, is this better? Okay. We have our ending work in progress. These are the goods which are not finished at the end of the year. All right. Then we have the stock of finished goods. This is the finished goods at the end of the year. So this question is telling us prepare the company's manufacturing account for the year ended 31st December 2008. Then we need to prepare the trading and profit and loss account for the year ended 31st December. Then we have to show the current assets section of the company's balance sheet. All right, so we can now begin by making our manufacturing account. So we have three columns here. Let me zoom in. Yes. The way you need to put it in lines. But if you got 20 minutes remaining, there's no need for the lines, so long as you put them in order. All right. So the first item, as I said, we have to tabulate for our direct materials. Okay, because the manufacturing account, first thing you have to get is the cost of goods manufactured, which includes the direct materials, direct labor, and the manufacturing overheads. Okay, so the first item is the direct materials. That's what you start with. Do not start with direct labor or the overheads. You'll be marked wrong. All right. All right. So we have to have we start with our opening stock of raw materials. These are the raw materials we began with at the beginning of the year. Stock raw materials. I'll put it as RM. When we're studying, will we remember RM as raw materials? I do not want calls at night. So what does the RM mean? Will we all remember? Okay, I'll put raw M. All right. So when we come to our table here, our opening stock for raw materials is 4,000. So you put it in the middle column. E. Yes. Any questions? Okay. The next thing, the purchases. How much raw materials we purchased in that period. Okay. So purchases of raw materials, we purchased raw materials worth 56,000. Okay. So purchase of raw materials 56,000. So put here purchases. Say 56,000. Any questions? So why are you putting purchases in the first column? Okay, remember this, and this also applies to the trading account. Okay, for purchases, the reason why we put in the first column because there are some adjustments you need to make. The carriage inwards, all right, and then if there are any purchases returns, return outwards. Okay, just the way the trading account operates is same like this manufacturing account. Okay, because remember in the trading account, opening inventory, add purchases. Then you've got the carriage inwards and whatever. Same format here. Okay. All right. So, have I answered your question, Mr. Okay. So we add any carriage inwards. Carriage inwards, 6,000. Okay. Now, if there was any return outwards, where we retain the raw materials, we would have subtracted it. But here, there's no return outwards. So take note of that. Okay. So we're going to say 56,000 plus 6,000. Uh-huh. You would have added these two, then subtracted it from the total of purchases and carriage ones. Then you subtract, yes. Yes. Because these two, when we add them, this is the total expense we incurred when bringing in the raw materials to the business. Okay. So now, if you retain some raw materials, you need to reduce this expense. Okay. Hey, why is Excel refusing to add? Excel experts, why is it refusing to add here? Okay, 56 plus 6,000, what do we get? 56 plus 6,000? Mm, mm. Yes. So now here we need to add our opening uh, stock of raw materials, the raw materials we began with, and then these new raw materials which we've brought in. Okay. So we're going to add 4 plus 62,000, 66,000. Okay. This is the total cost of the raw materials. Just like in the trading account, where they say total cost of goods available for sale. Here now is the total cost of the raw materials within the factory. Any questions? Now we want to find out the cost of the raw materials that have been used. Okay, we want to find the cost of the raw materials that have been used. Okay, so in order to get that, we need to subtract our closing stock of raw materials. Okay, so that we get the cost of the raw materials that have been used. Okay, think of this as the total of the raw materials. Then you're subtracting what you remain with at the end so that you find out how much you have used. Any questions on that? We want to find the value of the raw materials that have been used in the manufacturing process. Because we haven't used all these raw materials for 66,000. Okay. We won't use all of it. Some of it will remain. Okay. So now, in order to find the value of the raw materials that have been used, you subtract the value of the raw materials that have remained from the total value of the raw materials that you had uh, in your factory. Yes. Mhm. Mm, There's no budget here, sir. Yes, this 6 million, the remaining raw materials in the factory. Yes, 6 million. 6 million. At what? Huh? Mm. Mm. Yes, yes. Mhm. Yeah. It's the value of the raw materials you've remained with at the end of the year. The total value of all the raw materials you had in that year. Then you want to find out the raw materials which have been used that year. Yeah, so to find the raw materials that have been used that year, we're subtracting 66 minus 6,000. 60,000. So that year, we used raw materials worth 60,000. And we left raw materials worth 6,000 in the factory. Any questions? I saw Mr. Twambo here. Mr. Twambo, are you there? Madam Beth, are we okay with that? Mr. Frederick, are we okay? Madam Helen, Madam Geraldine, okay, okay, okay. Mr. Trump, okay, Mr. Trumbo, okay, all right. Mr. Chimunya, we're okay with that? So we're done with Rome. Carriage inwards? Uh, yes, it is. Yes, everything here, they're representing expenses. Okay, we're factoring all expenses that are. Yes, it is. But you won't see it in the manufacturing account. Unless it's insurance of the okay, yeah, unless insurance of the raw materials would have added it. Okay, Mr. Timonia, ask also raw materials consumed. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. So we have every that's what I said. Every expense that is attached to the raw materials is going to be factored in. Because if you leave it out, you're going to get wrong profits. So everything that is connected with the raw materials, from bringing them in and using them, all those costs, whatever the costs are attached with raw materials, we're going to factor them in. I think this, I don't know what you, okay, this insurance, you're going to see it once we make the statement of profit or loss. It's going to come under either selling and admin expenses. That's where it's going to be found. I can continue? All right. Okay, Mr. Frederick, yes? Yes. Yes, Mr. Frederick, what was your question? Okay. Oh, yes, yes, I've got you, sir. I've got you, sir. All right. So the next component now is the direct labor. Okay. Remember the format of this: direct materials, direct labor, then the manufacturing overheads. Okay. So the next is now the direct wages. 25,000. Then we also need to include these direct expenses. Okay. Because we're getting everything that is direct here, right? So it's direct expenses. Yes, that's the final amount for wages. Uh, there's more adding and subtraction coming. Okay, so direct expenses 3,000. So we get okay, so we get now our prime cost, all right? The direct labor and the direct materials. Get our total prime cost. 88,000. Any questions before we now start the overheads? Mhm. We add, yes. Well, at this point, you don't need to subtract any of this because we were trying to find the total prime cost. Then also get the total manufacturing overhead cost. Is that okay, Madam Sylvia? The subtraction, yes. I don't know why people want to be subtracting. Yeah. Okay. Think of it as this, Madam. We're just trying to find the total costs that were incurred when manufacturing the goods. Yes. So on the overheads, be careful. Okay. If it's got the word factory, then add it. If it hasn't got factory, don't add it. It's going to come in the other statements. Okay. They're always going to let you know if it's factory or if it's not. Okay. So like here, the first one we've got factory administration. So we include it. If it never had this word factory, we would see it in the statement of profit or loss. So first we start factory administration, 6,000. Factory admin, 6,000. Okay, we've got factory power. So let me just put the word factory here so that factory power is how much? 1,500. Factory heat and light, factory rent and rates, what else? Factory supervisory costs. Factory supervisory costs 5,000. All right, I think um, these are all the factory costs. So we're going to have to total them up. 15,000. So we say total manufacturing costs. We're going to add the prime cost, the total overheads. Any questions before we now make the adjustments for the work in progress? Yes. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Second. Mhm. The middle column here. This is where you do most of the additions, and also there'll be also some subtractions here. But think of it as where we do most of the workings. Then the totals are put on the third column. So the first and second column, this is where you're doing your adjustments and your tabulations. Then you put your totals in the third column. Mm-mm. It's not a matter of choosing. Four. Okay. The only one you ever see in the first column is this one for purchases, carriage inwards, and if they'll be returned outwards. That will be the only one you ever see in this first column. Then now the rest, you will see them in the second column. And then you put the yes, then you put the totals in the third column. You are helping a lot of people. Yes. So majority of the things will come in the second column, okay? Majority of the things. Okay, so we're going to say add beginning work in progress. Colleagues, why are we adding the work in progress? That yes. Yes, you're in the correct arena. Can someone help Mr. Kasono finalize before I interject? You're in the correct arena, Mr. Kasono. Okay. We have to factor in these the work in progress. Okay. Okay, colleague, this work in progress is the one we started with at the beginning of the year. So during the year, we used it. We made these into finished goods. Okay. The incomplete goods we started with at the beginning of the year, we're going to make them into finished goods. So we need to add it to the total manufacturing cost. All right. So you add this 5,000. It has passed you. I'm saying yes, this beginning work in progress. It's the partial goods you began with at the beginning of the year. So by the end of the year, definitely they would have to be that would have been converted into finished goods, right? Yes. So since they've been converted into finished goods, so we need to include their cost also in the total manufacturing cost. Yes, the incomplete works at the beginning of the year. So now, as the year passes, we turn them now into finished goods. Mhm. Yes, yes, yes. Because obviously, these are the ones actually which you even start producing because they are partially finished. So they'll be the ones you will first convert into finished goods before you get now the new raw materials and start producing them into finished goods. Yes. Today, I'm representing the masses well. We are growing. Okay. Then we're going to say less ending work in progress. Colleagues, why are we deducting the ending work in progress? These are the partial, at the end of the year, these are the partial goods you remain with at the end of the year. So why are we subtracting them, colleagues? Mr. Casono, it seems you are the one who attended Mr. Romeo's class. Why? Madam Sylvia, you been pointed out. Why are we subtracting? Okay, who else was in that class? Let me guess. Mr. Victor, Mr. Vincent, you were in the class. I even heard you were the first one to enter. Mm. Eh. Okay. Mm. Okay, colleagues. Because we're only interested in finished goods. Okay. Okay. No, you can use two columns. You can use two columns if if you're comfortable with it. Okay. But when you're making this adjustment for purchases, don't mess up the when you include this in this column, don't mess up. Because first you need to add these before you include this 4,000. Yes, so as I was saying, why we're subtracting the ending work in progress, because we're only interested in the goods that were completed. Okay, these ending work in progress, they're cost to be taken to next year. All right, we're only interested in the cost of finished goods. Mhm. Mm. So you're going to confuse people. You show me the PowerPoint. Yeah, yet okay. Miss. Okay, brought down is the thing. I should believe that was the beginning, right? Then carried down was the one at the end, right? Madam Geraldine? Okay, you show me that PowerPoint, I will see. Mr. Chimunya, this 8,000 is coming here. It's actually 8 million. Okay, remember all of these are in millions here. There's these three zeros here. Okay, okay. So the cost of goods manufactured, COGM. Okay. You add, not subtract, because if you subtract, you're going to add this minus and this negative will make positive, and then you'll be adding. Okay. So here you add total manufacturing costs plus this adjustment, and that's the cost of goods manufactured.